confused.
We're live.
It's stripey. Ooh, we're live. Is that? Are we? Are we?
Yes.
Yes. It's official. Oh,
What
no.
you doing?
Hi, everybody. You guys are getting... We're calling the theme today, oh, well, that's how I rolled out of the house. That's how I pulled this pile of fiber. Mainly today, we wanted to live stream because Talbot is going to start being our live stream director. And there's a lot of cameras and microphones and lights and laptops. So we're giving it a go. And lots of excitement about color blending. I'm going to cover a few things today, but really it's potentially an entire course. So we'll just see what we can see and talk about kind of whatever we want, because we can do that. So I meant to
People like your hair.
thank you.
Cut yesterday.
Yeah, I just got it cut.
How you doing?
Me?
Yeah, you good.
I'm good. A little burpy.
We were gonna call it the burp and blend, but
But I was hoping to eliminate one of those. I meant to grab the color wheel.
oh,
I think it
Can
might
you do
just
that?
be over there. There's a lot to color blending, especially in what we do, because we're adding fiber type and technique. So not only do you have to think about the color, but how you're going to be using that color and which fibers work best for it. And that's a big part of why the house carded blends are there, because we're making new colors and we're making them with fibers specifically to work well for what they're intended for. So the skin tones, the pelts, the flowers, etc. The horse coats. Thank you.
it's different
That's
than
awesome.
the one I linked.
Oh, okay. That's okay. They are all pretty much they're all pretty much the same. But yeah, color wheel is super handy, and the basics are taking the primary colors, the three primary colors, yellow, blue, and red, and making three secondary colors, orange, purple, and green. And then with those six, now you can use them together in infinite ways. Some of the questions were about avoiding muddy colors, toning things down, brightening things up. So I'll just talk a little bit about what the potential is with different colors. I didn't get the carder out. A carding video would be a lot of fun, but I just didn't go that direction today. So, anything I need to know before I begin my haphazard slapdash
No.
color blending live stream? Okay, I went to the other building, which is where all of our production and fiber is, and I just pulled a whole bunch of colors. And let's see, how do we have it set up, Audrey? Do we have a little overhead yet?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Full overhead.
Okay. Good. That takes a little of the pressure off. Okay. So it's a few things that I think about, and if you guys, I'm not going to say anything like so amazing that you want to write it down, but I am going to reiterate some things that we talked about in the lion video. Color is the characteristics of three different things. The hue, which refers to which color is it? Is it yellow, orange, blue, etc. Saturation, how deeply saturated is the color. So this is yolk. This is a very highly saturated color. This is September, I believe, which is not a highly saturated blue. Teal is. And then value. So how light or dark is it? So this is a light blue. This is a mid to dark tone, what I would call medium to dark value blue. Toreg is the darkest blue. I obviously do not have all the colors here. So those three things make up a color. And what you want in your artwork, and I'm thinking more about 2D right now than 3D, because 3D, and when we sculpt 3D and we make an animal, we're really making a replica of the animal. And when we paint 2D, the color is so very important because you're using the color, the value, the hue, and the saturation to shape something 3D on a 2D surface. So for the conversation today, I'm really going to stick to like 2D thoughts. Warm tones and highly saturated colors pop forward. So those you're going to want to sort of pile on in places that you want the viewer's eye to go. And light comes forward as well. Cooler, darker, more muted tones fade. So you could mix a green. Let's say you're painting a green meadow. One way to give it great depth is as your grass goes towards the horizon, literally in space, what's happening is more and more atmosphere is between you and that grass. So you want your horizon line generally to be less saturated and maybe lighter in value than the grass that's close to you. So the grass that's close to you will have a really highly saturated green. I'm just going to like grab a few colors here. And
Someone asked what's the difference between saturation and darkness?
so darkness refers to the value. Saturation refers to how much color is in
So more like the intensity?
the intensity. Yes,
Okay.
there's a lot of different words for the same
Okay.
things. And so sometimes, yeah, just using different words. Like I think when you edit a photo, one of the things that you can do is the saturation, right?
So we have someone with a very small old color wheel.
That should be the same. I don't think, I mean, maybe like the kind of information that's on there changed a little bit, but.
And different color wheels might show different, like different blends. And
Right. So when you stick to mixing colors that are next to each other on the color wheel, you tend to avoid mud because these two colors are similar and next to each other, and you're just kind of tinting it one way or the other. So I can make it would be great if I had a brighter green, something like the vivid green that's in Kremer or something, to make a nice bright green.
do you want me to grab some?
Sure, because I did pick this to make my point. Kyla's gonna go get some stuff. And then as soon as you start moving towards opposites, that's where you're gonna get brown and gray. And it's awesome because you can get, if you intentionally make a color muddy, you can create a lot of effects. You can get a really rich brown. You can get a really beautiful gray. So I'll start with something I have here. Can they see this in the overhead? This is one of my favorite things to do, is mix blue and orange together. So this is September and Melon, I believe. And it makes such a soft, wonderful gray color. So blue and orange are complementary colors, and complements just means that it's opposite on the color wheel. Whenever you put blue next to orange, blue is going to look more blue and orange is going to look more orange. So if you put these two colors next to each other in your painting, it is going to be a very intense, eye-pulling location on your painting. Thank you so much. And also, they're going to make each other look more vivid because they're next to each other. Whereas if I put a purple next to the blue, you can still see the colors, obviously, but they're not setting each other off. So that's what complementary means. They're really showing each other off. Okay, let's go back to our green.
Used just merino, right?
I have a little bit of top coat in here,
Okay.
just of the 40 top coat colors. But mostly I grab merino. It's easy to blend and the colors are beautiful. So Kyla just got a little bit of a vivid green.
What happens if you over tint something? Would you start over or try to fix it?
Over tint. When I'm painting with oils, whenever I make a paint puddle and it's not quite right, instead of like continually adding, then you might end up with a gigantic paint puddle that isn't right. So I take a little bit of it and see if I can tweak it. And then whatever's left, I'll use in some other way. And it might be the same with wool. I'm blending such small amounts, like it's not, wasteful or something if I don't get a great color. But so someone asked about using the hand carders. It's really more of a rocking motion than a dragging motion. So I want to start with the top of this hand carder at the top of that hand carder and rock and grab, and then I start creeping them, like going farther and farther up, and then I have all of it on the other side. Takes a little bit of practice. Okay, so this is a pretty saturated green. It's a little murky because of this. I think I used olive, which is a very drab color. But if this were in the front of my meadow, this were the color of my meadow, I would never make my meadow this color. This is my bad example. It's getting a little prettier as I go. As I go back in the picture, I'm going to want this to get less intense. So if in the front of the picture, sometimes when I am having green grass, which really is one of the hardest challenges for me, is to paint green, I would put something like a red or like a rust or a red near it, and that creates a lot of interest against the green. Now, to mute this, I don't really want to introduce red because that's going to make brown. And also, this is still a very, I don't have just a simple red. It's a very saturated color. So to go farther back in atmosphere, I'm going to want to lighten it and desaturate it. So I really suggest you avoid white. As soon as you add white to something, it becomes very chalky and pastel-like. So it's better to find a light color and mix with a light color. This would be a really nice color, the gray that I made from the September and the melon, because it is the color of atmosphere. I made another gray, purple and yellow can make a gray. It's going to be a little more intense and a little warmer than the blue and orange gray. But this could be an interesting color to add to this. So I'm going to try that. And so you want to have like increments of this, like different proportions. This is similar in value, so it's more going to mute it than lighten it. Anybody saying anything? Ooh, I like this color.
Dan Scott pointed out the real world is not made up of flat colors, so leaving it not fully blended
Right.
is helpful.
Yep. A lot happening out there. Light bouncing around, shadows.
Ooh.
It's pretty, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
This is like you're in the meadow and it's misty. So here's my my intense green and here's my muted green. So if I put these in a painting and I have some high contrast up here, high contrast in color, high contrast in value, and as I go back towards the horizon, let it get more muted, then that's going to add to the quality of the depth. Let's mix a little bit of it with this lighter color. So we're going to work on over the summer getting the blending boards. I think that'll be really fun. Oh, this is pretty too. So pretty.
So people want to start with enough of the first color to be able to pull part.
Well, if that's what they're doing.
Right,
I mean, we're just
right.
giving an example of a painting that's a landscape that needs
But
a
if
lot.
they're trying to,
Yeah, I mean, I think, watching the 2D Lion demo, and I did mix my paint puddles off camera the second day, but we talk a lot in there about all of this stuff. But having those paint puddles to start with was huge. So sitting down if you're doing a 2D painting and beginning to assess what you need and just start mixing so that you have a variety there. All right, so here's the saturated one. Here's the second one, and here's the third one. These don't look too different, but so pretty. I just got a whole floof of
Mouthful
fiber
of
in my
floof.
mouth. Yeah.
what's a good color for lightening without using white?
Right. So it depends on what you need to do. So I just used a gray mix to lighten the green that was made out of purple and orange. You could, if you don't want to change the color too much, see if you have in your stash something that's a similar but lighter color. So for the duck fluff that we sell, it has yolk in it, but it also has Janista, which is a similar quality of yellow. It's just a lot lighter. So that's how we lightened it. I'm trying to see if there's two colors here that are similar to show. I could use something like this to lighten rust. Let's try that. Sorry, loud.
Well, we have fine or medium cloths for the boards. Trish said she was trying to use her blending board for the fur, and it's so fine it's hard to mix.
Oh yeah, we were looking at Ashford, and I think they just make one kind.
Yeah,
I'm sure it's a medium. I would think it would be a medium.
for this purpose, what is better? Medium, not fine.
I don't. This is like a medium cloth on these.
Okay.
I don't have a ton of experience with the
Right.
fine cloth carding. It really is more for the alpaca and silk. And whenever I bought stuff for carding, I was thinking more about art bats, and versatility.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's going to have limits depending on the carding cloth that's on there. That worked really well because it was in the same color family and as saturated. So here's the rust, and here's the rust with the, I think this is melon. Yeah. Yeah. So making brown is really fun. And you can make brown. Red and green really make a great brown. If it's a very cool green and a very cool red, it can almost look purpley or plummy brown, like this this blend, which was Caliente. There's two, Caliente
Bing.
and Bing. I think this is Bing. So Bing and teal are a very cool, not warm, red and green. So it kind of makes like a more purpley color.
Did you use this also?
I did put a little bit of that in there, yeah. Rust and olive are very warm. And rust isn't truly red. It's it's somewhere between red and orange. Can make a really warm brown.
So that's these two.
Yeah, that's these two. So if you want to avoid brown or mud, you want to stay away from things opposite on the color wheel and stick to tinting with what's next to it. Let's see, what else was on my list? Purple and yellow is interesting because it can make gray or it can make kind of like a rusty color depending on the purple and the yellow. But it's so fun to begin. It's really fun if you keep practicing to be able to look at color and anticipate, either see a color in space that you know you want to make and be able to do it, or to look at colors that you're about to blend and have an idea of what you're going to achieve. So
Trisha said she doesn't really understand how a red can be cool.
Oh, it's closer to the purple side than the orange side. So red has that whole spectrum from orange to purple. So here's orange and here's purple. So for example, in painting, cadmium red is a very warm red, whereas alizarin crimson it's practically purple. So it just depends on where it falls in its own little corner of the wheel. Yeah. So a blue has a hard time being warm, but it can be warm the closer it gets to yellow and green. So cerulean blue has a lot of green in it. This would be considered, even though they call this is called teal.
Oh.
This is teal. I know,
Okay.
Isn't that funny? This is still very cool to me because the green that's in it is very cool. So let's see. Let me see if I can find that other wheel real quick.
I was trying to find it
Okay.
because I feel like it has.
I've been putting stuff a lot of places.
We had that in the gray.
Yeah, the grayscale. I put them both somewhere. Oh, here they are.
All right.
Because this one has just a little bit more information on it.
Yeah, this is the one that I linked.
Okay, so this one's linked on our Goods and Faves page. And I like that this one has what the primary, secondary, and tertiary colors mean. Warm and cool. So they explain that warm is advancing. It's going to come towards you. Cool is going to recede. I'm sorry. And color. So we have hue, which is the name of the color. Is it blue? Is it orange? Is it green? Value, which is the lightness or darkness. And this wheel does have a value scale right on it. You can also buy, oh my poor, that's just paint. My poor grayscale is pretty dirty. But you can buy a value finder.
That's linked also.
Okay, cool. So that's the value. And intensity, which is the chroma or the saturation. So that's the purity of a color. That's kind of like where we took our really super high chroma green, and we toned it down to a very soft gray green. So I'm looking at this, adding blue. Oh, interesting. Okay, so here's green on the color wheel. And with this wheel, you can see if you add yellow, what happens to that green. You can see if you add blue, what happens to that green. That's oh my. So
This thing is really cool.
It is. It has a lot of information on it.
Yeah. Well, and the fact that you can spin on the front side and show
Right.
when you add those colors too.
Right.
I think we're good.
Okay. Oh my gosh. Okay, so it's going into some things that I've never. Okay, split complex. So some words on the back. Monochromatic. Monochromatic means that you're using all the same color, but you might be changing the value and the tint or the saturation. Analogous. Using colors adjacent to each other. That's what we call, that's a safe way to avoid mud. So using yellow and green or green blue or blue violet. Complementary is using any two colors opposite the wheel, like blue and orange, which we showed with these two, which is like a great example. Split complementary, using any color with the two colors on each side of its complement. Example, green with red, orange, and red, violet. So rather than going straight to red from green, you're using two versions of red to either side of that. A triad is using three colors equally spaced from each other on the wheel. Orange, violet, and green, or that would be yellow, blue, and red. A tetrad, using a combination of four colors on the wheel that are two sets of complements, blue and orange and red and green. Interesting. I learned a new word yesterday. Do you remember it?
Huckster?
Huckster.
I'm still stuck
Oh, I learned
I'm
more than
stuck
one
on
word
huckster.
yesterday. Remember Serpies?
Serpies. Oh, that was on the...
It's on a legal document.
That's right.
Maybe I didn't really
Serpies.
learn the word because I can't tell you.
What it means and use it in a sentence.
Can you spell it?
It's SIRPES. And the sentence was something like, not Serpies. So there's a lot of information on here. And I don't think I've really explored the color wheel as much as I should and how to use it.
SIRPES. It's Latin.
Oh, it's Latin.
All I'm getting is unscramble the letters.
Not a word.
I forget the phrase.
Was it per Serpies?
Per Serpies, not something. Not individual. Something like,
Sturpies
oh, Sturpies.
by branch.
No.
Was it Sturpies? Per Sturpies. Per Sturpies. There you go.
We learned a lot yesterday. We did a lot yesterday.
We did a lot yesterday. Yeah. So it's gonna take, it takes doing, just like everything. The more you can get your hands on it and your brain on it, the more you're going to understand it. No matter how well or badly I explain the color wheel and color blending. I'm curious what these two colors are going to do together. This will be mud because they're opposites. What?
Sturpies sounds like some kind of illness that might be contagious.
It does.
So this is a
vibrant purple and a
purple.
dull yellow, and it's really going to make an ugly color.
excellent.
I can tell already. But that's what we're here for, to mess up things. Like our little vocabulary lesson. Well, maybe it's not going to be too bad because the yellow is lighter than the purple, and I don't think I used quite as much of it, so it's just going to dull this purple down. Sometimes you want to dull a color, so we can talk about that, which is sort of what we did with the green.
Trisha said, "Puce is coming."
Yes. It is a little pucey. This is hard to blend because you're going to see every every variation. It's actually not bad. There's a way that I would use this.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say I was painting an orange
You mean a fruit?
of the fruit.
Okay.
This would be my shadow color. So if this is my orange, ooh, how did we make this color? Oh, this was us lightening
The rust.
the rust. So I'm gonna mix a little bit more. I don't really have the proper things that I need here, but I'm just gonna brighten this up a little bit.
Looks like we're spinning again.
That was a quick one.
Okay.
I wonder
Don't know
why
what's
that's,
happening, though.
yeah. And then I wanted to make this in shadow. Let's see what happens on our color wheel. Here's my orange. And we're going to add, wait a minute. Add blue. Well, I'm adding purple. I swore I had this turned over and I was able to do other things. The color wheel's really confusing me right now. Orange. Okay. There's the gray that we were talking about making with blue and orange, but this is a darker value. Well, I don't see it where it is on the color wheel. Maybe I have to add yellow to violet.
That's so sweet. So they said you guys are worth the spin.
Is that where you were?
Look at that. That's pretty. I don't know. Okay. Forget the color wheel. I'm going rogue. Okay, this is my orange. And this is my shadow color. So this would be my orange in shadow. And then we'll make an orange in light. And then I'm calling it a day. Oh, it's so pretty.
I am pinning up at the top a link to the color wheel for anyone who's interested.
Thank you.
A pinned message.
Okay. Here's my orange. Here's the edge of it that's in shadow. And then I would make a light color for it. At first, avoiding white. And the light color I would want to be warmer, probably, until you get to the super highlight, and then the super highlight might have actually kind of a cool tone to it. Super highlight comes from ancient traditional Italian painting techniques.
Super highlight.
Yes. Michelangelo was like, wait, I've got to have my super highlight.
He probably said that.
So yeah, if I were doing an orange still life, I would make myself these paint puddles. But a little bit different because I would have better colors on sitting in the pile in front of me. So yeah, there's a lot to do, and I can organize a structured course. Yeah, that would be a lot of fun, especially as we get into more 2D.
Incorporate the Carter.
Mm-hmm. The Carter and the
board
and the blending board. Yeah, and it could talk more about fiber type. So I always think of it in terms of direct felting, like on the face, or sculpting shapes, which would be more of like a core fiber, and then top coat and shingling, which would be any of the top coat fibers, and then the fur technique, which is sticking off, which could be you can use the fur technique with a variety of fibers, maybe except for core. So when someone sends a picture of a dog and says, what do I need to make this? It's kind of hard to answer because I don't know how they plan on felting it. But that's how I think of it, is what do I need for my core? What do I need for where the core starts, if it, like, let's say it's a golden retriever, for where the core starts to meet the fluff, and what am I using for the fluff? But in 3D, color blending is more just about getting the color right for the sculpture, whereas in 2D, color blending is about getting the color right to create the 3D look of something that you want to convey. So that's all I got.
That's all you got. Do we have any questions?
I like these little colors I have in front of me. It makes me want to make something.
Deborah says, that'd be great because I understand while you're talking about it. Then on my own, I'm like, huh?
I know. That's the way it is anytime you're learning something new,
You sit
like
there with your
in the
colors.
presence of the instructor, you're following and like,
I
okay,
got
and good. And then you're off on your own and it's like, wait, what?
On the goods and faves page, what would the measuring gauge be used for? Because we did link that up as well.
That was a recommendation to us. And I try to keep the goods and faves page to things that I have used, and I just haven't had a chance to use it very much yet. But it is a very handy little tool for quick. So instead of like sliding your ruler all around, or it has, 1 inch, 2 inch, ½ inch, and you can just hold it up to your sculpture and see. But I haven't had the chance to really use it a lot. So here's just I just looked over here and I have, what is that? Are these the same? Am I losing my mind? All right, these are all purple. And so on its own, I really see this as purple. When I put it next to a vivid purple, I see how this is an example of high chroma and low chroma, or so saturated and desaturated. This one is slightly desaturated and also lighter in value. So just kind of an example of how different colors can be. I think yellow might be the only color that can't be cool. it can lean cooler, I guess, if you mute it and take it towards green.
Any updates, Rena says.
Mm.
Someone else has said to have super fun Saturday and Sunday,
Oh my gosh.
which we're trying to get really
Trying to
excited
be-
about, despite the weather forecast.
The weather is pretty bad. Like, exceptionally bad.
Yeah.
And it's been a beautiful week, and it's going to be a beautiful week next week. And so it's hard not to, I mean, we're going to have fun. It's just going to make it a little more
Yeah.
like the mud. It's really what I think about is the parking in the mud.
It'll be more challenging to
It won't be as
meet
restful
up as well.
It'll be challenging to meet up. We won't like it will be harder to have a spot out. Like we won't have a spot outside. It would be nice if there were a pavilion there, just with picnic tables and stuff.
Yeah, something with
But there isn't. So we'll be on the move, and the layout is there's a lot of barns. The sheep are in barns. A ton of the vendors are in barns. The poor vendors who are outside have a harder time. They do have tents, but we're not the vendors who are outside in tents. The people like us who will be walking around, we'd be in the rain, so they won't get visited as much.
many, yeah. That is
But I'm gonna
bummer.
just try and come prepared and enjoy it in whatever the weather is.
Does using pre-felt in wet felting minimize the shrinkage of the piece? How do you minimize shrinkage, or do you lay out bigger pieces? The shrinking of wet felting is always...
I think it does. It's a kind of a hard question to answer because it depends on the fiber you use and how much you felt it and how you know what I mean?
Right.
There's so many variables. I would think that since pre-felt already has some structure that it would minimize it. It makes it helpful. But I've wet felted plenty of things straight from merino. But I don't have data exactly on what shrinks more or why or when.
Can we plan a Serafina con for next year?
That would
at
be
your
fun.
Place?
Where? Here?
At our place. We have talked about some kind of...
Absolutely.
Gathering
Sue,
retreat.
with a B was
Bingham?
was kind of all over it. Not sure what happened to that conversation. I think we're all still trying to like lift our heads back up, our chins back up, and it would be really devastating to put a lot of work into something and have to cancel it. So I have like plan phobia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jan's, what's the word? Lobbying hard for Canada. Would be lovely. West side of Canada,
Yeah.
there's some really,
Yeah.
really cool.
So there's always a lot happening here. It's Audrey's last day, by the way, so we're holding it together on that front as well. And summer is a good time for us to. Well, we do slow down quite a bit.
Labels. We are
Working
moving
on labels.
forward on labels.
Working
for
on
bundles.
labels. Working on the Ashford line of the spindle and the blender and the nitty knotty. My brain is like a little foggy right now. Because I know my notebook's full of stuff, but it's not jumping from my notebook to my brain.
We should have a new annex course coming out soon.
Yeah. The moose is in the works. And we're still working on getting our core wool, dyed core wool replaced. That's ongoing. Some new blends from DHG in the fall. That's been really fun thing to work on. And
Everyone's
there's a few secrets. Do we have the Fiber Fairy on the calendar?
I don't know.
We did plan a Fiber Fairy, whether it's on the calendar yet or not. We have the sale in July. I think we actually are having it on July 25th. So Christmas in July
I don't
sale.
think that is on the calendar, but let's see.
Yeah.
Yes. Look it, I did that. Didn't have no
Which one?
recollection. June 10th,
Ooh, June 10th.
Fiber Fairy.
Oh my gosh, I'm so crazy. I planned a party on the 11th. I can do it. Oh my gosh.
Good plan. I could add the July sale.
Yeah.
Hence, yes, the moose. We're close to the moose.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got so many advanced courses that I want to make. It's a lot. It just takes us a long time to do it because it's so much work. So I don't think we're averaging I think we could average about 3 a year, maybe. I was like optimistic that I was going to have 3 done this winter, and that's a little bit of a
2.
overshot. Yeah.
Rhino.
Yeah, but now it's like almost summer. Get the moose out.
Oh, spring. Certification. Where are we with that?
We will have about a half a dozen certified instructors, and be introducing them probably by the end of the month. So, and then we'll do it again in September. So it's been really wonderful meeting people. Like each certified instructor is blowing me away, like for a different reason.
The lion is finished, and there's some.
Can we bring it to you?
Oh, sure. It's not secured in the frame, Talbot. It's just pressed in there.
There are a few pictures of the lion on Fanfare.
Yeah.
No, on our Facebook page and Instagram. I think we posted.
Thank you. This is great, actually, because I can show. I'm going to go on the overhead.
It's upside down.
It's upside down.
Okay. Oh, no, yeah, I got it. Because I'm going to go on the overhead. So I can talk about the color a little bit. And show examples. Well, the lion's not like the best because it's, all one color. But, yeah, so to make a 2D pop, you want to have like your high contrast area be where you want the eye to be drawn, and then lower contrast where you don't want the eye to go. It's weird to look at this from this angle right now because I'm like, ugh. There's a lot. It looks brown, but there's a lot of purple and green in here. Yeah, if there's any questions about the lion, I'm happy to answer them, but the videos are still up, so that would probably be a better place to learn about it.
He is very handsome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the frame looks good.
Yeah, the frame's okay. I had it on hand. It works. It's not like... He's a little squished in there. If I did him again, I would give him more space. I'll just set it down here. Thanks. I would give him more space under his chin. Make it more of a square composition.
Rena, you don't have to learn how to Instagram. What's going on Instagram is probably also on our Facebook page, but we're trying to learn Instagram too.
Yeah, and Pinterest.
And then they keep changing the platforms. So just when we think we have it figured out.
So I've seen a few people say they're coming this weekend, so I'm not sure who we're gonna find. But we will find you.
or you will find us.
Yeah. We usually wear upside down wool bags as raincoats. I gotta see if we have them anywhere. Talbot made them for us.
There's one spot I can think of
What? Oh, but that they might
that
be.
they might be.
Okay. Are we good? Any other questions?
I don't think so.
All right. Thanks, you guys, for helping us out today by keeping us company while we run a live stream. And I'm not sure exactly when the next time, I mean, aside from Sheep and Wool, that I see you will be. Hopefully before the Fiber Fairy.
Yeah.
Because that's a little ways away. We'll think of something before then.
Sorry, just reading
That's okay.
good information about the boards. Looks like it's 108 TPI for fine, but we need a 72. That's what our hand carders are. I guess.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah, just practice blending some things. There's so many books, you know. I don't have a lot of color books, but I know that there are a lot of color books. And yeah, play with it and have a good time with it. We good?
I think so.
Okay,
We're
thanks.
good.
All right, now give me an awkward silence.
Awkward silence.